So hello everyone, I would like to welcome you all to the YouTube channel of ODA Class. So my name is Abha and I'm the master teacher of maths here. So talking about what we are going to do in today's class. So in today's session we are going to talk about simple equations. So talking about what is ODA Class. So ODA is actually the most innovative edtech platform and you can download the app from Play Store or from App Store. Okay. So talking about, there is a link given in the description. So that link is actually for the booster course, which is 1 week of course where you are going to have 3 maths and 3 science classes. Okay. So talking about myself, my name is Abha Sharma and I'm the master teacher of maths. If I talk about my experience, it's been 6 years that I'm teaching, and these 6 years I have mentored more than 50,000 students. So now, if I talk about today's class topic, today's session topic, which is simple equations. So if I talk about this topic, simple equations, so you can find this chapter with the name of algebra or with the name of simple equations in your books. So let's just get started with the topic. And if I talk what we are going to do in today's session, so we are going to talk about what is variable, what is constant, the coefficient, expression and equation. So these are the things that we are going to learn and we are going to understand in today's YouTube session. So let's get started now. Yes. So let's get started with the session now, talking about the very first thing that we have to do, which is variable. So now if I just ask you, what can you understand by this word variable? So I would say that this word variable actually relates a lot with the word varies, or if I would say it relates to the word changes, right? So that is the meaning of this word variable. Variable means something that varies or something that is not fixed, or I would say that something that keeps on changing, right? Now you all must be wondering that if something is changing regularly, right, then how are we going to write it? How are we going to represent something which is changing regularly? Correct? So if I talk about that, how we represent that. So variable is actually represented by letters, or I would say they are represented by alphabets. So whenever we have to represent any variable, we can represent it using different variables. It could be any letter from A to Z. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, M, N, O, whatever, X, Y, Z. So you can use anything to represent a variable. Okay, or I would say you can represent any letter to represent a variable. Clear? So now, if I just ask you this thing here, right, if I just ask you this thing here, that how are we going to represent a variable, or if I ask you the list of variables here, so can you all tell me that what are the variables here? As I told you that the variables are represented by letters. So can we just find out the alphabets or the letters here? Yes, I believe we all can. So if I talk about the variables here, X is a variable, right, as this is an alphabet. So here R is also an alphabet. Moving ahead, we could see that G is also an alphabet, and here N is also an alphabet. So just noting down the variables here, we could see that X is a variable, R is a variable, G is also a variable, and N is also a variable here. Yes? So clearly we can identify that what are the variables here. So we represent variables using alphabets or represent using letters. Clear? Now moving on, if I talk about, let's talk about the second thing that we have to do, which is constant. Now let's understand this constant term in our daily life, that where we can find this word constant and how we use this word in our daily life. So I just say a statement here that whenever I play, I have a constant smile on my face. This is something where I say that whenever I play, I have a constant smile on my face. Now what does that mean? That there is a smile on my face which never changes. Correct? So is the thing here. So whenever we are talking about constant, that means we are talking about something that is not changing. Isn't it? Yes? So if we talk about a constant, then constant is something whose value remains same. Okay, or we will say that whose value doesn't change. Clearly? Yes. So constant is something that does not change or something that remains same. Yes. Then if something is not changing, then that means we are talking about numbers here. Yes. That means we are talking about numbers here because its value is fixed. If we say that, okay, let's say I have one pen in my hand. Clearly, 1 is a fixed number, that's a constant value. Yes. So, in the same way, let's say you are in grade 6. Yes, so if I talk about 6, then 6 is a constant number whose value is not going to change, right? So, now it's time for us to pick for the constants. So, now from the given list, can we now pick the constants? So, constant means we are talking about the numbers whose values are not going to change. Clearly? So, let's write the constants here. We could see that the first constant here is 2. Right? The next constant that we could see here is, so the next constant that we could see here is 6. Moving further, we could see that the third constant here is 14. Yes, its value is not going to change. After that, we have is 1. Then the next one that we could see here is 78. After that, we could see that 46 is also there in the list. Yes. Now, if you just have a look at this G, no, G is a variable, it's not a constant. So, after that we could see that 100 is also a constant. Yes, that means its value is not going to change. And after that we could see that 0 is also a constant. So, these are the constants that we could see here. That means here the values of these numbers are not going to change. Clearly? Yes. So, I hope we are very clear with what are variables and what are constants. So, variables are the ones whose value will change and they are represented by letters. Yes, and we can easily identify them whenever we are given with any list. And talking about the constants, and constants are the ones whose value does not change. Okay. Now, after this, let's talk about the next thing that we have to do. So, first thing was variable, second was a constant. Now, let's talk about third thing that we have to do, which is actually the coefficient of a variable, right? Now, what is coefficient of a variable? Now, if I have to explain you this thing, that what do you understand by the word coefficient? Let's understand it in a regular life. Coefficient means we have to talk about the partner. Okay, the way you are in a school or you are in a class, you always have your bench partners. Yes, in the same way, whenever we are talking in maths, right, whenever we are talking about in algebra, we also have the partner of numbers, or we also have the partner of variables. Yes. So, here we are actually going to talk about the coefficient of variable. That means who are the partners, who are the coefficients of the variables, or I would say who are the partners of the alphabets that we are talking about. Okay. So, talking about what are coefficients, right. So, if I talk about what are the coefficient of a variable, a coefficient of a variable is a number getting multiplied with a variable. So, what is a coefficient of a variable? That is actually the number which is getting multiplied with a variable. Or else, to be very specific, here we are talking about a numerical coefficient. Okay, so because we are talking about a number that is getting multiplied with a variable. Yes, so that means we are talking about the numerical coefficient here. Okay, so if I have to just write it here in order to be very specific, so we are talking about the numerical coefficient here. Okay, clear? So, now that means simply firstly you have to understand this thing that we are talking about the numerical coefficient, correct? So, the number that is getting multiplied with the variable is a numerical coefficient. So, now it's time for us to find out some numerical coefficients. Yes, okay. Moving on, let's just find out the numerical coefficients here. Let's say we are given with something which is 3y. So, what do we understand by this 3y? 3y is actually 3 is getting multiplied with y. Yes. So, that means clearly if I ask you who is the partner of y here? Tell me who is the partner of y? So, partner of y here is 3, correct? Because 3 is getting multiplied with the variable which is y here. Clearly, if I ask you the numerical coefficient here, in 3y you will say that ma'am 3 is a numerical coefficient here. Yes. Now, if I ask you in this 2t that okay, tell me what is the numerical coefficient in 2t? So, you will be like ma'am okay, t, the partner of t is what? That's 2. So, clearly that is going to be the numerical coefficient here. So, if we talk about the numerical coefficient of t here is 2. Okay. Now, after that if I ask you in the next one, yes, if I ask you here, what is the numerical coefficient in 8a? So here the partner of a is what? That's 8. So clearly we could see that the numerical coefficient here is 8. After this, if I ask you in 9z, what is the numerical coefficient in 9z? So you will say, ma'am, the coefficient of z is definitely 9. Yes, because 9 and z are getting multiplied. Yes, so you will say that the coefficient here is, the numerical coefficient here is 9. But now comes the problem. The problem is with this letter x. We cannot see anything here. There is no letter, there is no number that is getting multiplied with this x. So what are we going to do now? So here, this is something which is very important for all of you, that if you find that there is nothing getting multiplied with a variable, okay, nobody is going to write this as 0. That you will say, ma'am, the coefficient is 0. I will say a big no to this, right? Yes, if you are going to write this 0, you might get a 0 in the exam also. Right? So whenever you are given with any variable and you have to write the coefficient of that, okay, and you could see that there is no coefficient. In that case, actually if I talk about this x, you can write this x as 1 multiplied by x. Okay? Yes? We can write this x as 1 multiplied by x. So now what is the coefficient of this x? So can you all tell me that what is the coefficient of this x now? Yes, you will say that, yes, the coefficient of this x is actually 1. Okay? The coefficient of this x is actually 1 here. Is this thing clear? So this is the most important thing where most of us make a mistake, that if we are not able to find any coefficient with a variable, we write it as 0. But make sure that you are not going to write 0 after this. It has to be 1. Clearly? Okay, now moving on, let's have some examples where we have to write the coefficient of some more numbers. Let's say we have to write the coefficient of variable here, right? Let's say in 90x, what is the number that we could see? What is the numerical coefficient of x? So we could see that the numerical coefficient here is going to be 90. Talking in 11p, what is the coefficient? So in 11p it is 11. While if we talk in 48n, the numerical coefficient here, or if we talk about the coefficient of the variable, that is 48. Yes? So are we clear with this thing now? Yes, I hope we are able to identify that what is the coefficient here, what is the numerical coefficient. Okay, now moving on. So we are very clear with what is variable, what is constant and what is coefficient. Yes? Now let's move to the next thing that we are going to do, which is what is an expression. Because if we talk in algebra, you must have heard the term algebraic expression, yes, or what is an expression. You must have heard or you must have read such terms. So let's talk about what is expression. Okay. So talking about what is an expression is actually the combination of what all? Combination of variable, constant and operation. That means when you are going to just see all of them together, you will say that the result is an expression, or you will say the result is an algebraic expression. Okay. So whenever we are going to combine the variable, constant and operation, we will say that we are getting an expression. So if we talk about what is an expression is actually a combination of variable, constant and operation. I hope this thing is clear. Yes? Okay, moving on. If I talk about, these are some of the examples where we are having all the three things, right? We are having a variable, we are having an operation, and what's the third thing that we need to have, which is a constant. So let's just see if we can just figure out the three things here. So firstly, if we talk about y plus 2, we have a variable, right? We have an operation and we have a constant. Yes, all three things are here. That means this is an expression. Now, if I talk about the z or if I talk about this x, so are they the expressions? You will say, ma'am, there are no constants. We cannot see any operation here. But now I will ask you one question. If I have to write this x, can I write this x as x plus 0? Yes, can I write this x as x plus 0? Definitely I can. Now, can we see that yes, this is a variable, this is an operation, and this is a constant. So that actually satisfies the criteria for making this an expression or calling this as an expression. Yes. Okay, moving on. If we talk here, we could see that there is a variable, there is an operation, and there is a constant. Yes, that's an expression now. Moving on. Here, if we talk of variable, we have constant, operation we have. Now talking about the constant here. So can we just put a plus 0 here? Can we just have a plus 0 here and say that yes, now it has become an expression? Yes. And now let's talk about the most important thing here, which is a 0. So can we say that this 0 is actually an expression? This, we cannot see any variable here, we cannot see any operation here. Yes, but if I just ask you a question, can we write this 0 as 0x plus 0? Can we just write this as like this? Yes? Tell me. So definitely we can write this 0 as 0x plus 0. Now it has all the three things. So clearly by this we can say that all of them, they all are the examples of expression. As all the numbers that we could see, all the expressions that we could see, it actually satisfies the criteria that it has a variable, it has a constant, and it has an operation as well. Okay? Yes? Okay, now moving on, let's move to the next thing that we have to do for today, right, which is what is an equation. We are very clear with what is a variable, what is a constant, what is the coefficient of a variable, and what is an expression. Now, it's time for us to move to the next thing that we are going to do, which is an equation, right. Now, if I talk about this word equation, we could see that this equation word sounds very much similar to equal to, right? Yes, it looks very similar to equal to. Yes, so that definitely we are going to have the equal to sign here. Yes, so now let's just see that what are the two things that we have to equate here, or I would say that what are the two things that we are going to balance here. Yes. So if I talk about the two things that we are going to balance, right, they are going to be the two expressions that we have. Okay, the two things that we are going to balance will be the two expressions here. Okay, so here if the expression 1 is equal to expression 2, we are going to call this whole as an equation. Okay, if the expression 1 is equal to expression 2, we will call this as an equation. Clear? Okay. So now, if we are talking about an equation, that means both sides need to be equal, or I would say that both sides need to be balanced, isn't it? Yes? And whenever we are given with an equation, we are going to be solving it, and we are going to balance the equation. Now, you all must be thinking that, ma'am, how are we going to balance the equation, or how are we going to solve the equation? So, not at all a problem. I am going to help you that how we are going to solve any equation, okay, or how we are going to balance any equation. Okay? Yes. So, let's just balance some equation. It's time for us to balance some equation. Yes? Okay. So, if I just give you a scenario where we are going to meet this Shin-chan. I believe many of you must be like loving Shin-chan. But if I talk about, you are given with something that there is a Shin-chan and 5 is added to it, and which is equal to 7. So now can you tell me, can you just think that what is going to be the value of this Shin-chan here? Can you tell me that what is the value of this Shin-chan here if Shin-chan plus 5 is equal to 7? Yes? So if I just have a look and I'll just start thinking about the numbers, I'll just say this thing that okay, let me just put 0 here. 0 plus 5 is equal to 7. No, it's not. Let's check for 1. Is 1 plus 5 equal to 7? No, 6 is not equal to 7. Then if I'll just check for 2. 2 plus 5, is it equal to 7? Yes, that's right. So what we got as the value of Shin-chan here? Yes, what we got as the value of Shin-chan? We got the value of Shin-chan as 2. Isn't it? Yes. So if I talk about the value of Shin-chan, which is going to be equal to 2 here. Yes. Now Shinchan also has a problem, right? That okay, my value is coming out to be 2, but Shinchan has a question that is my value, is this my value or is my value fixed? Right? Now this Shinchan has a very genuine question, very correct question, that is my value fixed or can I change or can anyone change my value? Yes, let's just try this thing, okay? Whether the value of Shinchan is always going to be 2 or it might change as well. So here, let me ask you one more question. Now we have Shinchan plus 8 is equal to 12. Now what is going to be the value of Shinchan? You will say, ma'am, if I have to equate this thing, the value of Shinchan will come out to be 4. Yes, because if we do 4 plus 8, then 4 plus 8 is equal to 12. This is how we are going to get a new value for Shinchan. So what we could see here, is the value of this Shinchan fixed? No, I believe not. Yes, and I hope everybody agrees to this, that the value of Shinchan is 4 now. Earlier it was 2, now it is 4. So what does Shinchan has to say here? Now Shinchan is very happy that okay, you cannot just fix me, right? So we could say that the value of Shinchan is varying everywhere. Yes. So now if the value of Shinchan varies, or if I would say that the value of Shinchan changes, yes, so that means we are talking about a variable, isn't it? What I told you in the very starting, that variable is something whose value changes. So here, if the value of Shinchan is changing, we will say that yes, the Shinchan, we can take this Shinchan as a variable, isn't it? Yes. So let's just take this variable as x. Okay. So let's just do one thing. Let's just take this variable as x, and I would say that let's say we have to do x plus 4, which is equal to 12. Yes, let's just do this. If we have this, which is x plus 4 is equal to 12, then how are we going to do this? So what will be the value of x? We got the value of x as, what we got as the value of x here? So if we have to do, so x is coming out to be 4 here. Yes. So we will have x plus 8 is equal to 12. So we were getting the value of x as 4. But how are we going to calculate this? How we got this value, and what is the calculation that we are doing? Did you observe one thing? That for getting this value, we actually subtracted these two numbers. Yes, did you all observe this thing? So that means if I have to find the value of this x, I am going to do 12 minus 8, which is equal to 4. So that means if there are two numbers which are getting added, right, or I would say if there is a variable, if we are adding, if we have two addends, right, then in that case, if you have to find one addend, you are going to subtract the sum and the other addend, right? Yes. So now let's just have one more question, right, where again we are going to find out the value of x here, right? So let's just say we have to find out the value of the x here, right? So we have x plus 2 equal to 10. So here if we have to find the value of x, right, so we will do what? We are going to subtract and we will do 10 minus 2. So if we will do 10 minus 2, what is the answer that we are going to get? 10 minus 2 is equal to, so we will say that the value of x is coming out to be 8. Yes? Clear? Yes, so if we have to find the value of x here, then that is going to be 10 minus 2, which is 8. Clearly? Moving on, let's say we have to find the value of x here. Now, we could see that these two numbers are getting subtracted. Clearly, if we are subtracting these two numbers, right, then x has to be greater because we are subtracting. Yes? If we talk about the minuend here, the minuend has to be greater. So, if we see here, if we have to find the value of this x, so what we are going to do is, for finding the value of this x, we are going to do is 10 plus 2. What is 10 plus 2? So, we will say that the value of x is coming out to be 12. So, this is what we are getting as a value of x, which is 12. Clear? Yes? So now, don't think that we are going to always have the variable as x. So this is we usually use x, right? Because that's the most common used variable, but yes, the variables are not only limited to x. Okay, you can have, you actually have, there are other variables also, right? You can have any variable from a to z, as I told you. Okay, so now if I just talk about, let's say, let's talk about some more variables, right? Let's say we have to find the value of a here. Okay, so if we have to find the value of a here, then that is going to be a is equal to, we are going to subtract these two. Yes, see, understand this thing here. If there is a plus sign, no, if you will take it on the other side, this is going to be a minus sign. Okay, so that means it is going to be 15 minus 10. You're just going to change the sign. So that is going to be 15 minus 10. Okay, so if we have to just do it, then that is going to be, if we have to do a is equal to 15 minus 10. Yes, so that will come out to be 5. So if there is a plus sign here, if you could see a plus sign, you are going to make it a minus sign when you are taking the number on the other side. Okay, let's have one more question in order to do the practice. Let's say we have to do y plus 20 equal to 24. It's important that we are doing all type of questions that we have. So if we have to do y plus 20 equal to 24, as I told you, if there is a plus sign and it is going on the other side, it is going to be a minus sign. Yes. So if we have to find the value of y, that is going to be 24 minus 20. Okay. So we are getting the value of y as 4. Clear? The value of y is coming out to be 4 here. So yes. So because if we do 4 plus 20, that is equal to 24. Correct? Yes. Now, the next question that arises here is that, ma'am, okay, we are given with this thing and we are able to solve this. But what if we are not given with such an equation and we have to make an equation? What are we going to do in that case? Yes, because if you talk about the questions that you could find in your books, you must be given with a big statement where you have to form an equation. Right? So now let's just talk about that how we can form an equation. Okay, so whenever we are forming an equation, the way the words are written in a question, that matters a lot. Okay, so now let's just talk about one question here which says a number added to 16 gives 45. So this is the question that we have which says a number added to 16 gives 45. Now, my question is, what is that number? Right? So, if we don't know something, if we don't know the value of something, we are going to take it as a variable. Correct? If we don't know the value of something, we are going to take it as a variable. Yes, so let's just take this a number. Right? Let's just take this as a variable and we will say that a variable is going to be, let's take it as y. Yes? Okay, so that means now y is added to 16. We are adding y and 16. Correct? So that is going to be y added to 16. Gives means we are talking about the answer. Yes, we are talking about the result. So that means a number which is y, right? Added means plus to what? 16. Gives means we are going to put the equal to sign. Okay, now this is giving you the result as 45. A number which is y added to 16 gives 45. Yes, so if you have to find the value of y, yes, can we find out the value of y here? Yes, which is coming out to be 29. Yes. So this is the value of y. Clearly, if we see here, if we do 29 plus 16, that will come out to be 45. Yes, everyone? Is this thing clear now? This is how we are going to form any equation. Okay? So now, let's just talk about one more question here. The next question says, Joe has given 12 chocolates to his friend and now he has 18 chocolates left. find the number of chocolates he had initially. So now what you have to do is, आपको ये बताना है जो के पास जो ने 12 चॉकलेट्स अपने फ्रेंड को दे दी एंड अब उसके पास 18 चॉकलेट्स बची हैं. Now he has 18 chocolates left. So you have to tell me how many chocolates he had initially. So let's just say that the number of chocolates he had initially, let's take them as the number as x here, right? Now he has given 12 chocolates to the friend. Yes, that means 12 chocolates has been given to the friend. Yes, and now he has 18 chocolates left. So how many chocolates he has now? He has 18 chocolates. Clearly? Yes. So that means which is equal to the total number of chocolates that he has, which is x. So that means initially he has 30 chocolates, out of which he has given 12 to his friend and 18 he has as of now. Okay? Yes, everybody is clear with this, that how we are going to calculate this? Okay, very good. Moving on, let's have the next question. A number multiplied by 10 gives 70. Now, if a number is multiplied by 10, so that means we have to take the number as a variable. Let's take this as a this time. Okay, let's have a new variable. So, let's just say that a number is a, right? It is multiplied by 10. So, that means we are going to multiply this a multiplied by 10. Yes? Clear? We are going to multiply this a by 10. So, a multiplied by 10 and it gives you the answer as 70. What is the answer that we are getting? We are getting the answer as 70. Yes. Now, if I ask you the question generally, 10 multiplied by what is equal to 70? I believe all of you can answer this question. Clearly, if we have to find out the value of this a, you are going to divide these two numbers. Okay, what you're going to do? You're going to divide these two numbers. Yes? So that is going to be 70 divided by 10. So that means you're going to get the value of a as 7 here. So clearly, if we talk about, we can also check our answer. That's the best thing when we are talking about the formation of equation, right? That if whenever you have to find out, whenever you're getting the answer, you can always and always check your answer. Okay, so here we could see that yes, 7 multiplied by 10 is something that gives you 70. So definitely our answer what we are getting is right. Yes. So talking about what all we have done, so we understood what is a variable. They are represented by alphabets. If I talk about what is a constant, anything whose value doesn't change is a constant. If I talk about coefficient, then coefficient is actually the thing that you are actually, the numerical coefficient is the number that is getting multiplied with a variable. Yes, talking about expression, expression is actually a combination of variable, constant and an operation. Yes, and equation, if I talk about what is an equation, then an equation is when we are balancing, when we are equating two expressions, the result, the final thing is known as an equation. Yes, and it's important that an equation is having an equal to sign. Okay, so now if you all have enjoyed the class, right? I know you all just enjoyed the class. So if you want to have more such classes, then in that case you can enroll yourself into the 1 week of amazing booster course, right? So which is going to start from Monday. So you will be having 6 classes where you will have 3 maths and 3 science classes. So Monday to Saturday the classes will be there at 8 p.m. Okay. So in this 1 week of course, you are not only going to get the live classes, but also you're going to get your personal teacher. So because if we talk about the online classes, we always have this concern that who is going to help us once the class gets over. So there you will be having your personal teacher who will be taking one-on-one doubt sessions if in case you have any query coming up after the class. Okay, so with that you are going to have daily homework as well, and also we will be conducting 2 parents teacher meeting as well in the 1 week, where we are going to discuss about what are the challenges that you face while studies and how we can help you in overcoming those challenges. Okay, and also you are going to get the e-modules, that means you are going to get the study material, you are going to get the infinite replays of the session. So for enrolling yourself into this 1 week of course, you can find the link in the description. Okay. So you can just click on the link below in the description to enroll yourself into the concept booster course. Okay, and as a rewards you can win quite a good number of coins which you can redeem on the ODA mall. So that's all for today, everybody. Keep studying in ODA class and make sure that you're liking and subscribing the channel.